In this video, I'm going to delve a little more into drawing shapes in Affinity Designer by drawing a train. I got the idea for this from Art Time with Mrs. Kime on YouTube. This channel was obviously for little kids, but the way I look at it, I'm embracing my inner child. I'm guessing Mrs. Kime is an elementary school teacher, and as a former high school teacher, I just want to say God bless them. The elementary teachers give kids an educational base for the higher grades. Good elementary teachers make our job a whole lot easier. This is my second video in my learning journey of Affinity Designer 2, and to be perfectly honest, my first video was a little underwhelming. But hey, we learn by doing. The first thing I'm going to do is to start by drawing a train. For this, I'm going to need to use the rectangle tool, and the rectangle tool is over here. So we'll click on the rectangle tool and then draw a rectangle to the size we want it. Of course, we can always change. And then I want to fill it with some kind of color. So I have the color swatches open, and I'm going to fill it with something that looks about like that. If I want to adjust the color, you can always go over here to color where it'll open up the color wheel. And then you can adjust your color darker or lighter or whatever else. I think I'll keep it like that. Later on, I can use the move tool to move the engine parts into place once I get them all done. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to draw another rectangle. And this one is going to be a little bit taller. So I'm going to do that. And I will go to the swatches and get something. Well, maybe I'll just do it this way. Maybe I'll just make it a little lighter by doing this. And then I'll make that part a little lighter. Then over here, I'm going to need to draw another rectangle. You'll probably figure out what all these rectangles are for once I get this done. And pick a color for that rectangle. So we have that one. And I need a rectangle right here. And I want to make this one that color. So now we have our rectangles drawn, and I'm going to go over here to the move tool so that I can move these around. I'm going to move this to where it abuts against that. Make sure that this is centered, more or less, in the center. And then this is obviously the smokestack, if you haven't figured that out yet. So we'll put that right there. Now I want to add 3 cars. So what I'll do is to use the rectangle tool again and add a platform. So I'm going to add a long platform like that and fill it with black. So now we have our platform. Let's move it a little closer over here. And then what I want to do is I want to add 3 separate platforms. So to do that, I'm going to choose the rectangle tool again, draw my first platform because these are going to be individual cargo bays. So I'm going to draw my first platform, and then I'm going to go Control, Shift, and then move this to the right. Let my mouse go, let Control Shift go, do Control Shift again, and then move this to the right. Now what I want you to notice is we're trying to keep these in a line, and see that little yellow line right there? That will tell you that these are in a line, so they'll be all in a line unless you bump your mouse or something like that. So, and make sure that you let the mouse go first, and see how you've got all these alignment lines. I'm not going to get into a lot of that right now, and then I'm going to let the Control Shift go, and all those alignment lines will disappear. Another thing I want to do before I add my cargo is I want this engine to not be a perfect rectangle. Because if you look at a lot of trains, you will find that they have kind of a pointy nose. We want a pointy nose on this. Well, I do. So this gives me the opportunity to show you how you can skew this. See those two little lines that are coming up? All you have to do is click down and then move this back, and you have your little nose skewed. Now before, you already know what this one is. This one is to rotate the rectangle. We're not going to do that. So now I think I need to move my smokestack over here a little bit more. So now we've got that part of it. Now we need the cargo. The first cargo is going to be a triangle shape. This is just an excuse for me to draw a triangle. So what you want to do is to make sure that the triangle is going to be centered, so you don't have to, or it's going to draw from the center. So you don't have to fool around with it later on, and make sure that the triangle keeps its dimensions. And to do that, we'll once again do Control-Shift, and then click down and draw our triangle. And as you can see, the triangle keeps its dimensions and draws itself out from the center. And that's what we need to do there. So then I will release my mouse and release my Control-Shift, and now I have my triangle, and I think I'm going to make our cargo triangle yellow. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here, and my next piece of cargo is going to be a circle. So I need to click on the ellipse tool. The reason it's called the ellipse tool is if you don't constrain it by putting down the shift key, it will not be perfectly circular unless you're an artistic genius. So that's what the shift key enables you to do. We also want it to be centered, so we have to press the control key. So we're going to press Control and Shift. That will keep it centered, and we can have a perfect circle as we pull this out, and then just let the mouse go, let the Control Shift keys go, and then we have our circular cargo, and we can fill it with some color, which in this case is going to be green. Okay, now the last one we're going to do is going to be a square cargo. So we're going to go down and select our rectangle tool. Notice that when we select those drawing tools that you always get this bullseye shape thing, this cross shape thing. That's a good way of knowing it that your tool is on and you don't still have your move tool selected. So again, we're going to go Control Shift because I want a perfect square. I'm going to try to center it, and then I'm going to draw it. And you've got a perfect square. I'm going to let it go, let the mouse go, and then let the Control Shift key go. Okay, now I want to make that some other color, so I think I'll choose that color. Okay, so now we have that. Most trains do have wheels, and we want to give this one wheels. So again, if you haven't guessed already, we're going to need our ellipse tool again. We're going to need to do Control Shift, draw a little wheel like that. Actually, I'm going to need to move that. Okay, draw a little wheel, let my mouse go, let Control Shift go. I want this wheel to be black, so I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to move it into the place I want, which is going to be right there. Now, we need a lot of wheels. I don't want to keep drawing these wheels over and over again, so what you can do is to hold down Control Shift and then click down on the wheel and then move this wheel over. And see how the little line comes out, so it's going to line it up. So we'll put the wheel there. We will let the mouse go, and then we'll do it again. Control Shift, click on it, move this wheel over here, let the mouse go, do Control-Shift again, move the wheel over, and so on, making sure that you've got that line there so that your wheels will more or less line up. Well, if you follow the line, they're not going to more or less line up, they will. So I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. Click Shift, click on the mouse, move the wheel over, undo the mouse, let go of the click Shift, press on the mouse, move the wheel, unclick the mouse, undo the click Shift one more time, and move the wheel over. Let go of the mouse, let go of the click Shift, and you are done. Now all you have to do, if you don't like where your wheels are, I don't really like where this one is, so I'm going to click on it and move it over a little bit, and so on. Okay. So one thing you can do if you're questioning the alignment of all of your objects is to look down here. Here is the Transform panel. The Transform panel will tell you where your objects are and how big they are, because here's an X and a Y right here. So just imagine this is on a graph and you have an X-axis, which is horizontal, a Y-axis, which is vertical, and you've got the width of your selected object and the height of it. So to make sure, if you want them all to be the same, I'm not going to be that picky about it right now, but in some instances you might want to be picky. And this over here is a little map, so if you click in the center of the map, that will tell you what's going on in the center of your object. This will tell you what's going on at the top of your object, and so on. A circle won't be that much different because it's the same all the way around. So that's how that goes. Okay, now, we're not done yet because this train needs a smokestack. So the way I'm going to do that is, since there's really no drawing tool for smoke, I'm going to go over here and select the Vector Brush tool and click on it. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to draw my smoke like that. Now, I don't want my smoke to be that thick, so I want to change the stroke thickness. So what you do is you click on stroke thickness, and then I think instead of 16 point, which is awfully thick, I'm going to change it to about 4. And then I'm going to press enter and click off of it. And there we have our smoke that's a little bit thinner. So I'm really not doing anything fancy with the smoke. I just thought that I would like to use the Vector Brush tool in this tutorial. So I thought to myself, now what can I do? Okay. Now, we've got the smoke. We've adjusted the smoke to 4 points. Now what we need to do is to group everything together so that when we click on something, our cargo won't move off or our parts aren't pulled apart or anything like that. So to do this, we need to go up to Select, because see how many layers we have? Those are all separate layers right there. So we need to go up and say Select and select all, and that will select all of them. Then all we have to do is to right-click on one and select Group. And that's going to group all of these little elements into one picture. Now we'll just name our group, and it's a train. So now what we have is a train that we can move around. We can adjust how big it is or how small it is. Like if you're trying to print this, and like me, I am really bad about thinking ahead to make sure that everything will print on my page. And if you find it's too big, you can make it smaller. Of course, here we've got this where you can rotate it, and this where we can skew it. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it is nice to practice on these little tools that we have used in this lesson today. So, There we are, my toy train, courtesy of Mrs. Kime's Little Kids Drawing channel. In this video, we covered shapes using the rectangle, triangle, and ellipse tools. We learned how to keep the shapes in proportion and centered using shortcut keys. We learned how to easily make copies of images and keep them in line by using shortcut keys. We learned how to alter shapes by skewing the object, and we used the vector brush tool to draw our smoke. If you're starting out in Affinity Designer 2, try a few of these and make drawings of your own. I bet you could find your own Mrs. Kime if you're not that artistic. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to support my channel. And if you're so inclined, buy me a cup of coffee by clicking on the link in the video description.